Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for our LinkedIn webinar. It's presented by Huntington. This morning we have Lauren. She's the social media manager at Huntington Bank, and she is going to walk us through LinkedIn, how you can capitalize on it, brand yourself professionally, and the benefits of using it. It's going to moderate any questions you have, so please use the chat box down at the bottom of your screen. You could type in any questions and we will address those at the end. And if you could all please mute your devices, that will help with the feed. And I'm going to hand it over to Lauren.
Great, thanks Emily. Hi everyone, I'm super excited to be with you today and present. Usually I am kind of presenting these workshops internally to our colleagues. So I'm excited to be able to talk to this group externally. It's a different type audience. So I'm excited to speak to business owners and members of the center. Like she said, my name's Lauren Leeser. I'm on our social media team at Huntington. And so that sits within marketing at Huntington in our corporate office downtown Columbus. And my larger responsibilities are to lead Huntington's social selling efforts, which I'll explain that, and then employee advocacy. So what goes into employee advocacy is really how do we train and educate our employees to be some of Huntington's biggest advocates on social media. If they're in a sales role, how do we teach them to utilize social media to prospect, nurture leads, to ultimately generate business for the company. I also do things around governance, so I help our compliance partners write our social media policy. I do a lot of our LinkedIn publishing, so hopefully you're all following LinkedIn or Huntington on LinkedIn. Any of those messages that are coming from Huntington on LinkedIn, I'm publishing, but working with our internal partners to craft those messages. And so today I'm here to talk to you about LinkedIn, and if I can get my slides to work. There we go. Here's our agenda today. So I worked with Emily to craft this agenda to hopefully meet your guys' needs and understanding LinkedIn a little bit more in your role at your business. So we're gonna start out with a little bit around why LinkedIn matters. And then the bulk of our presentation today will talk about your profile and the different sections on your profile, why they matter. And I'm gonna give some recommendations and best practices around updating each section of that and what it all entails. And then we're gonna go into some best practices around building your network and connecting with others. So whether you're trying to prospect and connect with people that you don't currently have a relationship with but would like to, or you're just growing your network and connecting with people that you already know, we're going to talk about some best practices around both of those things. And then we're going to wrap it up with how to maintain an active presence. So once you've got your static profile in a good spot, up to date and relevant, then you really want to focus your time and attention on LinkedIn around being active and what that means. So posting content and engaging with and sharing your connections content. And then I'm just going to bring up LinkedIn. I'm going to log into my profile. And I just like to navigate the interface for you all and show you where everything's located, where you can find your settings and privacy, where you navigate to your profile, how to post content, how to understand your newsfeed, etc. And so I think, Kirsten, you're going to be moderating comments. So feel free to chime in if there's a question that's relevant to what I'm talking about in the current moment. I really love for these to be interactive and conversational, but we'll also have a Q&A session at the end. So I'm just going to go into it, starting why LinkedIn matters. So as a business owner or an employee of a family business, a lot of times we would receive feedback at Huntington that our colleagues didn't really find the value in LinkedIn because when LinkedIn first started, it really had the main notion of whenever you were ready to take the next step in your career, you updated your LinkedIn profile, you became more active, you started connecting with recruiters. Since then, it's really morphed into much more than that. So depending on your role, so when I think of Huntington, I'm working with sales colleagues, I'm working with people in HR, I'm working with people in marketing, I'm working with our colleagues all across the board, branch managers, regional sales leaders, regional presidents, some of our executive leadership team. Depending on your role, think about how you can really leverage LinkedIn. And so as a business owner or an employee of a family business, I'm going to talk to you about ways that LinkedIn can really be of benefit to you. So starting with personal branding, that's all around how you're updating and maintaining a presence on LinkedIn through your profile. So it really is your chance to showcase your expertise, your experience, branding your business through the visual elements of your profile, showcasing your skills. People can write you recommendations on you or your business, and those will stay static on your profile. So think of your profile as your billboard for your business, but it's free and on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to search you, whether deciding to respond to your email, or they just want to learn more about you before meeting you for the first time, or they want to learn more about your business, the more updated your profile is, the more Google is going to reward that and pull it and make it appear in one of the top search results. So that kind of goes into Google ranking as well. It's all around SEO, so search engine optimization. LinkedIn is a really powerful tool. It has a high presence on digital channels. So again, the more updated your LinkedIn profile is, the higher likely you are to turn up in search results. And so when you think about it, when you're updating your profile, you're controlling the information people are seeing about you. And that's really powerful if someone's searching for you and you want them to see your LinkedIn profile, because it's the information that you're controlling about you and your business. Another thing is connecting and prospecting. So this may not be super relevant to you in your position right now, but it is a powerful tool for you to connect with people who are already on LinkedIn. So it's another touch point that you may have for your customers, for community members, for potential customers and prospects. So go out and start to think about those people and who you can connect with on LinkedIn so that you can build up your network. And it's just another way, that you're engaged in that community is on LinkedIn. Industry news. So this can be really important if you're thinking about other companies who may have a brand presence on LinkedIn. So there's kind of two ways that you can be present on LinkedIn. One is through a personal profile, which is mainly what we're talking about today. And then the other is a brand page, probably for your company. So when I think about the company I work for, I've got Lauren Leeser, my personal LinkedIn account, and then I also have access to the Huntington company page. So that's something that I do want you guys to be thinking about, is if it makes sense for you to also have a company page for the company that you work for or that you own. So again, our lessons aren't really around a company page today, but at the end, I've included resources on best practices around building out a company page for your business. And then thought leadership. So this all goes into the type of content that you're posting. So, right, you have the personal profile that we're going to talk about at the beginning of today's presentation, and then you've got the content that you can actively be posting to your newsfeed to position yourself as the expert, to promote your brand or company, to showcase your thought leadership, to talk about trends that are relevant to your industry. And again, that's all around the content that you're posting to your newsfeed so that your connections are seeing that in their newsfeed. All right, now we're going to go into your LinkedIn profile. And how I framed up this presentation is starting at the very top of your profile, we'll kind of go down from top to bottom. So as you're scrolling through the different sections that you can update in your profile, this is how I frame the presentation. So the first thing that I suggest you do is navigate to your settings on LinkedIn. Under the privacy tab, you'll unclick the sharing profile edits. What that does is, if you've been on LinkedIn for a while, It used to be that every time you updated a section on your profile, your connections would get a notification. That LinkedIn has strayed away from that. You're just going to want to make sure that that is turned off under your privacy section in your settings. So during the live tutorial, I'll show you how to navigate to your settings. But as you work to update your profile, which are the sections we're going to talk about next, we are not going to want your connections to receive a notification every time you're updating, because you're going to be doing that pretty frequently right now. Okay, so we start with the importance of a branded background on your profile. Your branded background is one of the first things someone sees when visiting your profile. I realize that the sun is shining in my view. Sorry about that. The branded background is, like I said, one of the first things someone sees when viewing your profile. And if you haven't uploaded a customized banner image, that's another term you're going to hear a lot, is banner image. If you haven't uploaded a customized one, LinkedIn is going to default you to the blue background, and a customized background really helps your profile stand out. Other important things about your banner is that it adds credibility to you and your profile and your brand. It reinforces your brand attributes. So when you're thinking about your business, hopefully you have a logo and you have some sort of brand behind your business. If you can just work to size that correctly and upload that for your banner image, that's totally perfect. So I took a screenshot of Andrea Drennan's. This is her logo. If you think about it, think of it as the landscape. When you go to upload it, LinkedIn will help you reposition, and you can zoom in or out. So if it's not sized perfectly, that's also fine. Go in and play around with it and see if you like how it looks. But like I said, it is one of the most important visual elements of your profile. It sits behind your profile image, which we'll talk about now. So first off, having a profile image is step one. So again, if you don't have one, LinkedIn will just default you to something. It's really important to have a profile image. It's going to help people identify you. It's going to help people put a face to the name. And so when they're searching for you on LinkedIn, they're going to see your profile and know that it's you by your profile photo. Some best practices, though, when it comes to your profile picture: make sure it represents you as a professional, as a business owner, as an employee of your business. Make sure it's up to date. So a good rule of thumb I like to tell people is if your photo is older than like 5 to 7 years, it's probably time to update that. Again, you want it to represent you right now. So another thing I like to tell people about your profile photo: don't put a lot of stress into this. A lot of times, some good lighting, a smartphone with high resolution will do the trick. Make sure it's shoulders and up, so we don't need a full body photo of this. Stray away from including other people in your profile photo. So those types of photos are great for Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But when it comes to LinkedIn, this is meant to represent you as a professional. And so your profile photo should reflect that. Like I said, stray away from even cropping out other people. The original intent of the photo should be just to include you. When it includes other people and you're cropping them out, it's just a little bit distracting, and it takes away from the core message you're trying to achieve with your profile. So I've just included some stats that members with a profile photo get up to 9 times more connection requests, 21 times more profile views, and 36 times more messages. So that just kind of goes to show the importance of having a profile photo. And then next, when you're looking at your profile, is the headline. So your headline appears next to your name, and it's always attached to your name, even off your profile. So if you're liking and sharing and engaging with your connections content, your headline is still going to stay with your name. So by default, LinkedIn will pre-populate your headline with your current job title and your company name. So you need to have that information listed as well for LinkedIn to populate that. But you can go in and edit it and customize it. So if you're not satisfied with the pre-populated option, go in and edit your headline. The research that I've done for this presentation today is that as an owner or founder or president of a business, listing your title and company name is the recommended format for your headline. Think about your headline this way. It should entice people to click on your profile and learn more about you. So you do have a character limit of under 120 characters or less for your headline. So you might have to get creative with this. But again, remember that it always appears next to your name. So what is that verbiage that you want tied to your name under everything you do? It'll also appear in search results off LinkedIn. So the rest of your profile information won't necessarily appear in search results. They're going to have to click into your profile to see all of that information, but your headline will always stay static next to your name. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the About section. This is the section that will probably take you the most time to get in a good spot. And that's because it's meant to be a summary of you and your professional experience. Or as a business owner, you can talk a little bit about your company here. So what are the most important things that you want people to know about when visiting your profile? That is your About section. You can think of it as a purpose statement. A lot of times it should express your mission, what motivates you, what skills you possess. It should highlight your areas of expertise. It can showcase what makes you unique. And the best About sections are concise and they are within a few paragraphs. So I really liked Andrea's here, so I provided it as a best practice. To me, this is easily readable. It showcases her business, what it's all about, what she's passionate about, and kind of leads in with, she wants to continue the conversation. So depending on your role, I think of me and what my About section, I am a marketing professional. I have a lot of experience in social media, but I also give a little bit about me as a person. So don't feel like this has to be so formally written. It should be about you. So if you're passionate, we all have things that we're passionate about outside of work. If you want to give a glimpse into that in your About section, that's great. If you want to talk about your business and what it's all about, that's great. So this should be really customized and personalized to you. What I recommend is going into like a Word document or even like pen and paper, start drafting out your About section. It'll take a few tries to get to where you are really, feeling good about it. And then next is your Experience section. And this is the section of your LinkedIn profile where you talk about each of the roles you've had. If you're anyone like my father who's owned a grocery store for 30 years, you've got one entry in your Experience section, and that's totally fine. If you're like me, you've had a few roles now in your career, and that's also fine. So don't shy away from thinking, oh, I've only had one role, or I've only ever had 2 or 3 roles in my career. That's okay, because there's still an opportunity to tell the story, because you can list how long you've been in each role, and you can list descriptions for each role, and which I highly recommend. So again, each entry under your Experience section should be written in paragraph form. So if you have a resume and it's written in bullet point format, that's great, but that's not what you should be mimicking in your Experience section on your LinkedIn profile. Think about it this way. If you were to talk with someone face to face and they wanted to talk about your experience and everything that you are responsible for in your role, you wouldn't take your resume out and read it word for word, most likely because it's written in bullet point form. You would look them in the eye and you would talk to them in full sentences. You would probably start to tell them some of your key accomplishments. If you have like hard statistics or like results that you created, change that you were able to deliver in a company, that's what you want to fill your Experience section with. Some other tips are to include keywords that are relevant to your industry. Present and past tense is important. So if you're currently in a role, use present tense. If the experience entry is in the past, make sure you're describing that in the past tense. Other things, tag the companies. This means that if the company, like again, I was mentioning at the beginning of this, if they have a brand page on LinkedIn, tag them in the company field. That way it creates a hyperlink to that company page. So if someone wanted to learn more about your business, they could easily look at your experience section and say, oh, well, you know, what's Clark's Grocery all about? They could click on Clark's Grocery and it would take them to the Clark's Grocery company page. And then only list positions that add to your core message. So sometimes people say, you know, I've been in my career for 30 years. Do I list every role I've ever had? I always tell people not to put a time filter on it, put a relevancy filter on it. So if your very first job still adds value to the story you're trying to tell today, or you feel like the skills you gained in that role helped get you to where you are today, I say go for it. So that's what I always say. Don't put a time filter on it, put a relevancy filter on it. And then I'm not going to go over every other additional section that you can add to your profile, but as a business owner, there are some things that you should consider adding, such as links to your company website or blog. And so when you go to your profile, what you're going to do is there's a button called Add Profile section. Go through those and see if any of those make sense. So you can add things like links to your website, or if you have a blog, you can add things like education as a way to expand your network and connect with fellow alumni, licenses and certifications. So, you know, depending on your business, is that relevant? You know, do you have any licenses or certifications that make you more qualified? List those on your profile. Skills to showcase your strengths and areas of expertise, and accomplishments to highlight your honors and awards. So a little bit about adding skills. Adding skills is a really great way to, and it's really simple and effective to, once again, build your credibility, showcase your abilities, and then your first degree connections can endorse you for the skills that you've added to your profile. So you can see here, Carissa has added the skill customer service. She's had 72 of her first degree connections endorse her for those skills. You don't need to request someone to endorse you for a skill that you've added. It's on them to endorse you. But the more endorsed you are, that skill will appear at the top of your list. LinkedIn also categorizes skills into industry knowledge, tools and technology, interpersonal skills, and there's a few others. You don't have to categorize them. As you add them, LinkedIn will put them in their categorization buckets. And when you go to add them, you just have to start typing the skill, and usually LinkedIn will help auto-populate that, and you'll just click on it. Like I said, endorsements contribute to the strength of your profile, and you can add up to 50 skills. LinkedIn puts a limit at 50.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Really quickly, there was a question about, can you describe how to tag the company reference? Since we were talking about that, I wanted to make sure we covered that.
Yeah. There will be a field, like when you go to update your experience section and you go to Sorry about that. I think I got kicked off.
Perfect. We got you back.
Can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
You gotta.
Oh, virtual world.
And
I think we're losing you again, Lauren. Well, if anyone has any questions, now's the time.
tagging the company. Okay, so let me switch my internet connection really quick. Thanks for bearing with me. Okay, how's that?
That seems good. I can hear you.
Okay, how about that?
Here we go. You're moving now too.
Ugh. Just gotta go with the flow, right? All right, let's get back to it. Okay. So going back to, I'm just going to repeat the answer around how you tag a company. When you go to add your role in the experience entry, there will be a field that you can tag. So it'll say like, what was your role, you know, what was your title and what was the company? In the company field, it'll know to start pre-populating once you start typing the company. If that company does have a brand page on LinkedIn, it'll show up and you can just select it. And that'll mean you successfully tagged the company. If the company doesn't have a brand page on LinkedIn, that's fine, still list it. It just won't create a hyperlink to that company page. All right. And so I think this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, one of the last things around your profile. So recommendations are also something that will be displayed on your profile if a fellow LinkedIn connection has written a recommendation for you on LinkedIn. So they're going to have to do it on LinkedIn, but once they do, you'll have the chance to review it and display it on your profile. So you can see here, Jennifer has received 6 recommendations. And then if you've given any recommendations, people can tab over to that and see the recommendations that you've given for your connections. So once again, recommendations can be very powerful because if you think about it, it's someone that's written an endorsement for you on your behalf, but it's displayed on your profile. So again, you can list everything you want on your profile. That's kind of your self affirming that you have these skills, that you have this experience, but your recommendations are displayed on your profile, but they're written by someone else to recognize or commend you and your work. And then lastly, a quick tip is to customize your profile URL. So you can see here, my LinkedIn profile URL is linkedin.com. It'll always say /in/Lauren Leeser. Now I've went in and edited that and customized it. Otherwise, if you don't, again, LinkedIn will default that to probably a string of numbers and letters. So it's really good to customize this. And I'm just going to do a sound check. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So we're at the half point mark. Are there any pressing questions around updating your profile?
We didn't have any come in the chat. I did have one question though. As people are making connections on LinkedIn, should you accept every connection that is sent your way since this is a professional page, or should you filter that?
That is a great question. And I actually addressed that in one of these next slides. So we will right now talk about connecting with others and also receiving connection requests and best practices around both of those. So you can, like like we all know, you can ask someone to join your network by sending them an invitation to connect. Once they accept, they'll become a first degree connection. And so you'll hear first, second, and third degree connections a lot on LinkedIn, and you'll see like here, Lori Hicks has a second by her name. The difference between that is first is relevant and important for you. You're going to spend more time on LinkedIn because you're finding it to be of value. There are multiple ways you can invite people to connect. I think we're going to send this presentation out after maybe. That's a link right there, the underlined text. It'll take you to a help article on all of the ways that you can send a connection request. You can search for them in the search bar. You can go to their profile and hit the connect button. And there's other ways that you can send a connection invitation. Another tip is to personalize your invitation message. This is for people that you may not have a strong relationship with, and you want to kind of expand on why you'd like to add them to your network. So I'm going to talk a little bit about connecting with people in a second that you don't know, or maybe they're a prospect or someone that you'd like to become a customer, or just someone that you don't have a current relationship with. I'm going to go over some best practices around connecting with them. But think of, I don't know what that green mark is. Sorry about that. Think of this as someone that maybe you met at a networking event or you were introduced to 1 or 2 times. You'd like to still add them to your network. Personalize that invitation message. So you can see here, Andy Lambert wrote, "Hi, Lauren, noticing your experience in the social media space, it would be great to connect with you." This will increase the likelihood that they will accept your invitation. Then on the receiving side, please feel free to hit the decline button. It may not even be a personal thing, but if you really don't care to add that person to your professional network, it's okay to hit the decline button. They won't receive a notification that you've declined their invitation. Then once you hit decline, there will be a message that pops up that you're able to select. And it says, "I don't know this person." So say I hit the decline button or the ignore button on Andy's invitation message. There will be a pop-up that says, "I don't know Andy." I can click that, and that'll prevent Andy from being able to send me a connection request again. Now, you don't have to select that option, but it does. This is LinkedIn's attempt at decreasing spam and keeping your connections in your newsfeed as relevant as possible. And now the other tip I like to give people are best practices around connecting with centers of influence or prospects. So this is kind of a 4-step approach to sending a connection request to someone that you haven't ever been introduced to, you don't know, you don't have a relationship with, but you'd like to. And so this is when you send a connection request to a prospect who doesn't know you, or just anyone who you've never met before, but again, you'd like to connect with them. This is the equivalent of today's cold calling. And so what I tell people to do is leverage mutual connections on LinkedIn to develop a first-degree connection to that person. So step 1 would be to view that prospect's connections to determine if you have any mutual connections. So maybe you have like the same first-degree connection. Then reach out to that person that you both know and request an introduction. If a mutual connection does not exist, you're still able to view that person's connections, and you may still know one of them, but maybe you're not connected to them. So connect to that mutual person and then ask for a recommendation, an introduction. If a common connection still cannot be found, go to that person's employer, view their list of employees, see if you know any of their employees, ask for an introduction that way. And so you'll see here the light bulbs that are under each of these steps. If you click on those are instructions on LinkedIn of how to do that. So hopefully you're able to if you're unsure of how to do any of these steps, those will be instructions on how to do them. And then lastly, if a mutual connection still does not exist, you've viewed their connections to see if you have any mutual, you viewed the company's list of employees to see if you know any of them, you still don't know anyone, my suggestion there is to send them a private message if you're able to, or if you do really want to send them a connection request, still at least personalize the invitation message, giving a quick introduction to you and explaining why you would like to be connected. All right, so we went over some best practices around connecting, and now we're going to talk a little bit about, this is just to recap some prospect development best practices. Remember to leverage mutual connections to connect with prospects or COIs. Establish first-degree connections with those people. Establish first-degree connections with key decision makers outside of ownership titles. Join appropriate industry groups, so go out and follow other brand pages. When you go to say when you go to Huntington's brand page on LinkedIn, you can't become a connection with a brand page. You can only connect with individual accounts. For brand pages, you hit the follow button. So follow your customer's company page or other brand pages that are relevant to you. And then directly communicate with your connections via InMail if you have the premium version of LinkedIn, or private message if you have the free version. So lastly, we're going to talk about the importance of maintaining an active presence. This is all around kind of, again, a three-step approach to what it means to be active on LinkedIn. First, get your profile up to date. So like I said, think of your LinkedIn profile as your personal billboard or brand. Go through, update your profile, add your about section, add a good headline, add your experience entries, add your skills. Write someone a recommendation and maybe they'll be compelled to write you a recommendation. That really is your digital, I don't even want to say resume because it's so much more than that. It's your digital billboard. It's your digital brand about your role, about your business, about your experience. So update that. Next, be the expert and publish content. So once you get your profile in a good spot, start to self-author posts. You can share articles from third-party sources. You can share content from your connections. So reshare the content that your connections are posting. And then lastly, engage with your network. So this is all about if someone posts an update or they're posting content, they're posting updates about their business, they're posting updates about their community organizations. Everyone that you're connected to and the brand pages that you follow, like, comment, and share those updates that are appearing in your newsfeed. That'll also help keep you up, maintaining an active presence on LinkedIn. And then this goes into some content sharing tips. So when you are posting content, what I tell people is it's not recommended to commit to posting a certain number of times every week or every month. This just puts pressure on you to crank out content that may not even have a lot of substance or relevancy behind it. What I tell people is post with purpose, meaning post when you have something noteworthy to share. Mix up the content that you're talking about. So I like to put this pie chart on here. Roughly 50% of the content that you're posting should be about your industry, your company. 30% should be about personal lifestyle, and then 20% should be about your company. So this might not be super accurate for the audience I'm speaking to today, but when you think about the content that you're posting, mix it up. That's the biggest lesson here. And then lastly, maintain an active presence. So post content, but again, mix it up. Engaging, liking, commenting, sharing goes a long way. So stay active. If people are commenting on your content, engage with that. So right here, you'll see David Cobbler post videos. Every Friday, he works in our insurance segment. Every Friday, he posts a video and he calls it 50-second Fridays. It's quick tidbits, it's tips, it's recommendations on the insurance industry, risk mitigation, things like that. You can see under here, Mike Long commented on his post. He thanked Mike. He said, "Thanks, Mike. I always appreciate your input." So quick comments like that help you stay active on the platform. All right, now we're at the live tutorial section of today's presentation, and I'm just going to bring up my LinkedIn account. See if I remember my password here. I'm usually just auto signed in. There we go. Okay, so this is actually a good lesson for us all. When you are signing into LinkedIn from an unknown device, right now I'm on my personal computer, so it's a long story. Huntington doesn't allow Zoom, so I'm presenting on my personal computer. Obviously, I don't log into LinkedIn a lot on my personal computer. So what LinkedIn has done right here is it's protecting my account. And when I'm attempting or someone else is attempting to log into your account from an unknown device that you've not logged into LinkedIn from before, or it's been a while, it's going to ask you to confirm your account information, and it's going to send you a code to your cell phone to verify yourself. Here, it's asking me to confirm my account information, and so it's asking me to confirm my primary, my secondary, and then my phone number. All right, so once you're logged in, you're going to see your messages are a pop-up that's always going to appear right here. You can just minimize that by clicking the black bar at the top. It's going to default you to your home tab. So up here are the tabs that you'll click on to navigate through all of the different sections of your account. Your home tab is consisted of your newsfeed, so the connections, the content that your connections are posting, and the content that your connections are engaging with. So a little bit about how to read and interpret your newsfeed. You're going to see right here that Gabriel and Karen liked this post. So it does happen. I am first degree connections with Jamie. She's actually one of my best friends, but she posted this about, this is an article from Ad Age about will 2020 bring trick-or-treating as well as trunk-or-treating. And so Gabriel and Karen liked this post, so it's going to appear in my newsfeed because LinkedIn might think that that content is also relevant to me because my connections started to engage with that content. You can understand if you've been targeted for an ad by Axiom has appeared in my newsfeed, this message from them, because it has the word promoted underneath. So for some reason, my profile and the information that I displayed has met the targeting criteria behind this ad, so I've been targeted for it and it appears in my newsfeed. This is a simple way for LinkedIn to make money. Sarah Peterson is one of my first degree connections. So she shared this post by Big Health and she kind of customized it by providing her own commentary above. So she's saying, huge congrats to the Target team. We're so thankful for your partnership and inspired by the work you're doing for your employees each and every day. So she shared Big Health's post, and maybe I could like that, I could comment on it, I could reshare that. Lel, she's celebrating her 2-year anniversary at Tech Systems. So as a business owner, this could be really important to you. This could be an opportunity for you to reach out to Lel and have an additional touch point with her to congratulate her on her 2-year anniversary at her company. So I'm simply gonna like that right now. She's also one of my friends. And so these are, again, I'm just going through my newsfeed right now to help you interpret what your newsfeed may look like and why certain things are appearing. LinkedIn will prioritize good performing content. So it's not going to default to the most recent updates. It's going to default to high performing things that may be relevant to you. I think you can change that. You can sort it. You can sort your newsfeed up here and you can click on top content or recent content. And that's going to show me the most recent things that have appeared in my newsfeed. So right now I'm seeing that Joey Elwood is my first degree connection. He probably very recently liked this post. Avi recently commented on this post. Andrea recently liked this post. So I'm going to see a lot of times the activity that my connections are doing. And right here, I'm seeing that Kelsey recently reshared Mark's post. How you can self-author your own post is also under the Home tab. So it's right here at the top. You're going to click Start a Post. So this box will pop up, and this is my opportunity to draft my own content. Say I found a really helpful link on huntington.com. It's a very simple way to start by amplifying third-party sources. Say I really like this article, or this life and income planning. I like this information. I think it's really helpful. All you have to do is copy and paste the URL, go to your LinkedIn, start a post, paste that URL, and it's going to start populating a hyperlink. Now, I'm going to want to kind of customize this post by putting my own sentence or two. Maybe I'm going to say what I found relevant about this article. What do I want to say to my connections about this article I'm sharing? It could simply be great resources and information on life and income planning from. Now, here's where you can start to tag other people or brands in your post. You're going to start typing the @ symbol and then start typing the name or company that you want to tag. So say I want to tag Huntington. I'm going to start typing that, and it's going to, again, start auto-populating something for me. I'm going to click on that, and when I know I've successfully tagged a company is when the font turns bold. This does a couple things. It's going to send that person I've tagged a notification that I've mentioned them, and then they can say, oh, Lauren tagged me in this post. I'm going to go and like it or comment on it or reshare it. And this is what I actually did with the UT Family Business Center. They were promoting this event, and they created a post on LinkedIn, and they tagged me. So I got a notification, and then I shared that post to my network. This is the same thing this is doing. Now, a hashtag. Hashtags are a way to join a conversation. It is different than tagging a person or company. Hashtags are, like I said, ways to join the overall conversation. So LinkedIn will start to recommend hashtags as you start formulating your post, but you can also start typing your own tags. So say I know that there's a hashtag that we always use, and it's Team Huntington. And then I know that I also want to do retirement. And then I can scroll through these recommended hashtags. Don't put a lot of stress or thought into hashtags. What it's doing is when people are viewing the thread of everyone else's posts who have used Team Huntington or retirement planning in their posts, this is going to appear in that feed. So it may increase the visibility of your post by adding hashtags. The more important things are to tag the names and the companies that you're talking about in your post copy. Your network tab is where you're going to see any pending connection requests. It's also where you can see your current connections. Your jobs are LinkedIn's way to start recommending jobs for you based on the information you've displayed on your profile. Messaging, those are your private messages. Notifications, this is where you're going to get notified of when people view your profile, of when people comment on things that you've commented on, when people engage with content that you've posted. And then me is where you view your profile. It's where you edit your profile. It's where you view your settings and privacy. and everything else basically. So to view your profile, you'll just click on that. And then to edit your profile, you click on the pencil icons. So if you want to edit your banner image, you're just going to click on that area and you're going to upload the photo from there. If you want to edit other information, you click here. And this is the chance for you to update your profile photo, your name, your headline. So we talked about that, your current position, your education, all of that. As you scroll down, we've talked about all of these during today's workshop, but this is where you update your about section. You can see some analytics behind the number of people who have viewed your profile, who have viewed your posts, so your content. Activity, so you'll see here, this is the post that I shared yesterday. When UT Family Business Center mentioned me, this is what they said. So this Thursday, we're hosting a fun and interactive webinar with me. And then I reshared that and I said that I'm excited to support one of Huntington's partners. And so you can see here, 8 people liked that post. So that's the activity section of your profile. And then here's where you list all of your experience entries. So right now, my current title and the company. And then before that, I was at Nationwide Insurance. And so I've listed all of the roles. So I had 4 different roles during my time at Nationwide. And this is how LinkedIn will organize that. And then before that, I was at Ohio State. And then you can list your education, your experience, your skills, and endorsements. And then I've received 1 recommendation and I've given 2. Your interests are the company pages that you went out and hit the follow button on. So those will also be displayed on your profile. You can see here the company pages that I've hit the follow button on. And so I've followed these company pages. They're relevant to me. They're either in my industry or former companies that I've worked for, or the school I went to, local news organizations, etc. All right, so we have a couple minutes left. Are there any questions before we wrap up today's call?
I did get a few in the chat. A couple of thoughts on articles and original content versus just posting or commenting. Is there value to the original content?
Yeah, original content is something that people will know is self-authored by you. And so when you think of original content, no one else can publish that other than you, right? So that's very unique to you. It can be things like job updates. If your business was out volunteering in the community, take a photo and post it. And that's something that's self-authored. If you're celebrating the anniversary of an employee at your business, give kudos to them and shout them out. Take a photo of them and post it. That's something that you can easily do when you go to start a post. Again, it's under the home tab. Start a post. Maybe you want to congratulate a coworker. You start typing their name, you start typing the @ symbol, you can tag them. For 5 years start typing your business. If I want to attach a photo of her, I can click on this camera icon and upload a photo. Same thing with a video or a PDF file. So that's the type of original content that I'm talking about, right? It's things that are super unique to you and your experience and your role at your business. Third-party articles are usually like insights that are created somewhere else, but that you've found interesting that you want to share to your network.
What about articles that you've created yourself? Is that worth the time and energy on LinkedIn?
Definitely. There's a couple ways. So you can host an article on LinkedIn, or say that article is hosted on your company's website or somewhere else. Maybe you were featured in the media, maybe you appeared in an interview with the news or something else. Maybe you were highlighted on a nonprofit that you serve on the board of. Wherever that article is featured, feel free to syndicate that onto LinkedIn. Same thing, copy and paste the URL into here and it'll link and it'll nicely create a post here. If you want to create an article on, like a long form article on LinkedIn, you can also do that by clicking write an article and it'll take you to that feature. So like if you don't have anywhere else to host this article, LinkedIn will help you by hosting it on their website.
Okay, great. And then what about paying for premium LinkedIn? Is that worth the extra dollars?
What I tell people about premium is to think about the services that it offers and if it would be of value to you. So what premium is doing is basically giving, by paying LinkedIn is giving you access to all of its members and the information behind their profiles. So instead of having to send them a first degree connection in order to see their information and connect with them and send them a private message, premium is basically saying, since you've paid us, you can kind of go around that. You can have access to their information. You can do things like advanced search. You get access to InMail. So like I was mentioning at some point in the presentation, InMail allows you to send private messages to people even if you're not first degree connections with them. So if those types of services would be of value to them, it is worth it. If not, the free version of LinkedIn is, totally fine for the time being. What I think you should do is just go out and search what premium will give you and see if that is something that you're interested in.
Okay, and then the last question I have in the chat box is what kind of companies should have LinkedIn? Should it be every company or is it just specific types?
I'm a fan for defaulting to yes, all companies should have a brand presence on LinkedIn. In the presentation, I think I've included some resources at the end that gives you a business owner's guide to LinkedIn, and then tips on adding and removing skills on your profile. So this resource is really great. It's something that LinkedIn has developed. So I recommend visiting this, seeing what this is all about as a business owner and how you can utilize LinkedIn to start promoting yourself and your business, expanding your network and sharing your story, and growing your reach and influence as a business leader. LinkedIn has a ton of resources that just don't make sense for me to recreate because they're already doing it. But this is a really good resource, and it hopefully will talk about, this is about creating a personal profile. So everything we've talked about today, this goes into how to create a company page. So there will be a ton of information around that and why a company page matters. It talks about logos and cover images, about us sections, no website, no problem. So if you're still a small company and you don't have a website, go to LinkedIn and at least create a company page so that your company has a presence online.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that's all the questions that I have in the chat box. If anyone has some last minute questions to throw in there, feel free. I'm going to go over a couple of housekeeping things really quickly. We had the headshots that you were able to sign up for today between 12:45 and 3 p.m. I think there's still two spaces available. So if you're interested in getting a headshot so that you can update your LinkedIn profile picture, please contact Emily and she will let you know, a little bit more about the time slots that are available. She is also posting our social media pages on the chat too, so that you can follow us on LinkedIn. And we did also post Huntington on there as well, so that you can follow them. A couple of events that we have coming up, just as an FYI, we are offering another certificate course. And Emily did also post the link to the information on our website in the chat box there. So we're going to have an inbound marketing certificate program coming up in September. I believe it begins September 11th. It's going to be every Friday for 10 weeks from 8:30 a.m. until noon. And that's going to be a 10-week session. Like I said, you can either do the full 10-week session or you can do it a la carte. and it's going to be kind of talking about similar things to what we're talking about today. So optimizing your website, creating content and creating content with purpose, increasing sales through inbound marketing, analytics, a variety of topics that are important to your social media presence. And like I said, Emily posted a link for additional information on there as well. And then also next Tuesday, August 18th at 10 a.m., we're hosting another webinar with Eastman and Smith. It's a third part of our three-part series for COVID, discussing employment law liabilities. And they're going to be talking about leave complaints, discrimination charges, workplace safety, some of the issues that some of our members are having difficulty with. So we just wanted to thank Lauren again today for helping us understand LinkedIn a little bit better.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yes, hold on a minute, I believe. Okay, I thought I was getting another question. There's just a thank you.
You're very welcome. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out with any questions, or you can funnel them, I'm assuming, through Emily or Kirsten. And yeah, good luck with updating your profile and hopefully creating a business page for your business.
Wonderful. And for those who were on today, we will be sending out the slides, I believe, and the presentation. So you will be seeing those soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Lauren.
Yep.